Okay, so do you guys see my screen on YouTube or no? I just want to see if somebody can see it. If you can let me know so we can start. Yep, you're good. All right, let's go. All right, how's everybody's weekend, guys? I hope you guys have a great time. And let's start a new session. Let's go over everything that you guys need. It's been a busy week for me, but I tried to squeeze these 2 hours for you guys so everybody can enjoy and ask their question and see what they need and how they do it. So let's start with your questions, guys. If you don't know me, my name is Hennessy. I'm a moderator with RJ. I've been trading for over 11 years now, plus. I'm mostly a technical guy. I do mostly technicals, mostly stocks. I'm not your options guy. And I trade some crypto and I trade Forex. Mostly I'm heavily invested in stocks. So I invest long term and I day trade. But I'm mostly day trader, but I've been investing for years too. But there's a different route between investing and day trading, so let's start with your questions, guys. Let's see what you got for me. Yeah, so guys, as always, the questions are all gonna be on YouTube. I'm not gonna be looking at Discord at this point. I'm just watching my YouTube and the questions on YouTube. So if you have any questions, please put them on the YouTube channel. And we'll just watch everything on YouTube, so there's not a stream in Discord at this point. I don't trade futures much, man. If I trade NQ, ES, MES. That's about it. But lately I've been trading Forex. I haven't been trading futures in a while. I've been mostly trading Forex and stocks now every day. But if I trade futures, I normally like between these three in futures, and that's it. Is there any kind of guide for how you're trading? I'm assuming what you're doing is very different than RJ. Yeah, I trade way different than RJ. I wait for entries at specific points, like support points or breaking of resistance, and typically I stay longer in my trades. RJ normally is in and out very quick. I normally stay in trades. I can stay for hours, 3-4 hours, 5 hours. I look to get the most out of a trade, unless it hit my targets. But normally I have targets ahead of time when I trade. Like we had an example of these two trades, IBIO and AVTX. I normally wait for the right entry, and I wait for, like, I think I called it all the way to 32, 28 and 32, which we hit, and I had the entry here at 17. So I don't normally play these, so I could have got out in here, but I waited all the way till I got my last of it. So even here I scalloped out a little bit because it hit my targets. So I had a target here at 24, which we hit initially after the first entry. And then I waited because I was looking for, I think, 31. I got the last one was at 31, and that's what I was looking for, around 31 area. And it did hit 34, and I had here another target at 34, but I wasn't looking, and I was tired, so I was watching TV, but I just let it run. So normally I like to play these longer ones. I don't like playing, like, the quick in and outs. I still do that sometimes. So if I'm waiting for a break of a specific point, I can just play it in and out quick. But my most profitable trades, this is my style of trades, I just wait it out. Same thing was IBIO. For 2 days we played the same thing. So we played it here, and we played it here the next day too. So here was the entry at 370, which I believe was here. Where was it for the next day? Right here. Yep, so the entry was around here for this one. and it ran twice. So it did hit the first initial target here, and then it hit even the higher target here. So this was a good one. Entering at this point, I think it was like 388 was what I entered or something like that here. And then for the day before, I think the one I played was also somewhere here. Yeah, I think I got around this area. I think I was here early, and then I added more in this area. And I was looking for this target, which we hit eventually. And then we hit the initial bigger target in here. And then we hit, I think I was looking for 379. 380 was my initial. And we did hit all the way to here. I was out. I didn't hold it through the next day, but I played it again next day. So I like it more of a longer time frames. That's the way I play them. What kind of volume are you looking for in entry? It depends. Don't forget I trade very early, guys. I start trading at 3 in the morning, so I don't jump on anything. My initial thing at 3 in the morning is that I'm watching the markets at 3 in the morning. I'm watching the stocks. I'm watching what stocks I might be playing today. And I start watching them to get kind of analysis on them of how they are moving, what I'm expecting out of them. Like, for example, I know it's not easy to explain that stuff, but AVTX, just watching it from 3 in the morning till before open. So I watch it from here, all the way from here, when there's nothing. Like right here. I watch it through all of this here. I actually did take an entry over here, because this was the entry for me here. At this point, I took a very, very small position. But from what I was watching, just based on the very little volume I had, is that they were letting it fall, but the actual volume was the buying volume. So it's like market makers were just dropping it, kind of pretending that the stock is gonna fall. So I initially had an idea that what's gonna happen is that it's gonna dump in the morning, and what's gonna happen is that they're gonna get shorts in, but it should stop around the 17 area. I don't think we're gonna break the 17 area, which we did for a second. We went to 1680, but my initial thing, just watching it all morning, is that we're gonna hold that 17 area, and it is just gonna go. So they're just gonna get people in, and I'm just gonna be patient. And that's what happened. I just waited, and then I took more position here based on the whole idea of watching it for the past 5 hours. And that's the initial idea I had, and it did work out exactly like how I planned it. Yeah, it dipped a little bit more. I didn't freak out or anything. I just waited for it, and it kind of hit that line which I already had around the 1670. So I was comfortable, and I just waited for it. And as you seen, guys, it went all the way to 34. So it's more of just watching stocks. But if I see volume in the morning, I would say at least like 500,000. I wouldn't take anything less than 500,000 in volume. Do you like trading session with Ricky? You're really good at calling. It's a lot of things, man. I mean, as you can see here, my chart looks like it's in a war zone. So I look at a lot of things, man. It's a lot of technicals that I'm looking at, and it goes back to days too. Like if you were playing IBLO, like these are like almost 2 days of technicals, and some of them are 3 days of technicals. So I'm looking based on support and resistance lines in accumulation zones, liquidity zones, and also these momentum wedges and flags. So it's a lot of things that I'm looking at. It's just not one thing, and you can tell from just this chart the amount of stuff I was looking at, and I'm just predicting based on what I'm seeing in price movement and volume, and what I'm seeing market makers are doing. So it's a lot of things I'm putting in consideration pulling these targets. It's not just because it's easy to put this line and say it's gonna hit there, but it's harder when you're not watching the stock. And that's why one of the things I keep telling you guys is that I don't like jumpy. Like if you guys notice, I would concentrate on 2-3 stocks in the morning, and these are what I'm gonna put 99% of my effort of looking at, because I'm trying to study market makers. I'm not just trying to trade the chart. I'm trying to understand what they're trying to do with this play. And that's why most of my like good plays are me being in them for a long time, because I've been watching them. I've been seeing the manipulation they are trying to do. So it's a lot of factors that I'm putting in beside technicals too. But that's why you don't see me jumping. Yeah, I call a lot of stocks moving. I would just look at it on my different screens. But my main screens, like this was my main screen all day. I was looking here, here, and I think this one was PIK was for this one because I wanted to short PIK, and I think this one was, I don't remember, but I had a fourth stock I was looking at. I don't remember which one was it that day. I was moving between XLO and something else. But the main three I was watching was the PIK. I wanted to kind of take a short, and I was gonna short it right here, but I kind of missed it, and it went back again, and I kind of missed it again, and that's why I didn't touch it. But these two were the main ones in the morning when I woke up. I kept watching them all day, and I was just based on this. I was playing them, and that's why when I called the entry for this one, it's just because it was a lot of factors here of why I called this entry here. So it's just because I seen them here drop it to here, and then after they dropped it, I seen them just come right back up and held again this area. As if you see, like there was an area right here. So I knew like when it broke below 4, it's either gonna keep going or it's gonna hit. So when it hit, and then when it hit here again, that's how I knew this was the second entry right there. So, you know, same thing with here. So that's why we called this entry in the morning. I think that's when the entry that I called really early this morning was around this here. Just based on this line too, there was a lot of resistance here, as if you can see. So this line, even though it was the morning for the support, it was still the resistance. That's why when it broke out, it did this massive move. So it's all based on what I've been seeing all morning, like from this move to everything is, I have everything in consideration with my technicals. So this line here, I knew that this one was very, very important. So that's why when it bounced again, I went in it for it again. When it did that, I went in again, but I waited for this time, this one, to get another confirmation that it's gonna sit. And once it did that, I played it again. So I played this one like 3 times, in and out, in and out, and it hit the targets every time. Just because I've been watching the market makers, and I'm watching the the areas, this 411 and 420 area, like this whole section here, they were just very considerate of holding it the whole day, this whole area here. So when it broke down, I was debating if either taking a short or taking another long, and I waited to see what they're gonna do. But again, once it broke down this area, yeah, it dumped hard, because I guess that triggered a lot of stop losses. So a lot of people took stop losses, triggered, and it went back up, and it stayed in this area again for a little bit and tried to test again, and it failed again. It couldn't break down. So that's how I know like they're gonna run it, like they're not done. If they can hold it so many times like that, and hold it here and hold it here in the same kind of ranges, then I know they're gonna run it again. So that's how I based another entry, just based on this data that I had. From what I understand, you look at high time frames and mark. Yes, so these lines technically are from higher time frames, that I'm just looking at support and resistance and zones based on higher time frames. Could I explain how I find those? I mean, again, you just go back in history, man. That's all I do. I'm trying to find these intersection points, like right here. Look at the 498, the one we hit. Look how many times here it's been tested. 1, 2, all this. And sometimes you can go back even further. I don't know if this one does not have, like this one had this, I think, but it's so far away. But that's the things I look for. Like I will go back all the way to the end of the chart and see if there is anything here worth me looking at, because you know, history in stocks is mostly repeated. So that's how I play these. And then when I go from daily, I'll just drop it to 4 hours and try to see if there is more stuff. So as you can see, most of these lines are 4 hours. because there was no daily intersections in here. So you can see this one was tested here, that's twice. Same thing here, tested here, that's twice. This one is tested like 3 times, 4 times, 3 times. So that's what I'm trying to find, is these points that have been tested so many times, and I'm building my zones based on that. That when I see these big candles, I also put in my head, I don't mark it on the chart, but this is kind of a liquidity zone for me, like these big bars. So I know that this area here and this area here is where we're gonna have some action. And again, this one where we had the 370, look at, it had this big wick, and that's why it was another liquidity zone for me. And as we see here, in these long wicks, we had some action here, because you had this one here too. So you had this one and you had this one, and it kind of like, you had this area of up and down in here, just based on that. So this is easy stuff. So do you use Fibonacci and resistance and support for likely exit points? Yes, I don't use Fibonacci's, but yes, I use resistance, supports, and liquidity zones for exit and entries. If an uptrend is higher, and how many of those in a row before you consider uptrend? Or again, Trey, it's a combination of a lot of things. It's a combination of what I'm seeing in level 2, time and sales, the volume, the wicks. It's not just one thing. It's not like, I'm not just looking here that it bounced twice. I'm looking what it bounced and what did I see on level 2. So if you kind of look here, yeah, we had these bounces, but then when it stopped, it kind of got a big volume here. And this one too. So this one, we had a lot of buys. Look at the volume, and it increased with the buys trying to stop it. And here, they increased the buys, but this time they stopped it. So I know now that there's buyers in here. So even if that was the first one, I could have just jumped in right away, just based on the confirmations I had here. So you're trying to figure out volume and candles, a combination between these two. And the only thing I add to it is that I'm just adding market makers to the game of me understanding this. So, but if for you guys enough is to understand the candles and the volume, and again, it's all about the story. You're trying to figure out the story. And for me, I know from the day before, this area is an important area here. So you had two very important areas. This area here. So you had all this action in this area sideways. So you had this area that's important. And then you had all this action in here. So you had two side areas that these are two zones here that are very important. So I was watching, and in these areas I'm trying to figure out what they're gonna do, because again, if I know, like, if this dropped, this was gonna tank, like the whole stock is gone, we're done. And that's the reason they kind of stopped it, because I think any further drop than this, if we have tested the area below it, like we already tested this zone and tested this zone, after that, if you have dropped to here, I think the stock would have tanked. It would have been a great short, just because I know it's gonna tank after this point. So again, you're trying to add more than just one thing. So it's not like how many times, but again, if you want to play it this way, I would say at least 2 times if you want to be more. But again, what if the stock just touches this and goes up? So you can't really wait for the 2 confirmations. The only thing I waited here, because I was waiting for this, I want to see if this is going to break. So I was willing to take a higher entry here to play it for the high. So I was going to wait for this one, and it kind of, that's why I didn't take it the first time, because I didn't see the break. It tried to break here, so I was willing to take the entry actually higher, and that was gonna be my confirmation, breaking the downtrend line, which is this one. So I was waiting for this in this area here. So, and as you see, it did not break. It kind of broke, but it didn't hold the break. I don't consider this as a break. This here I consider a break, but this is not a break. This is a break, but this wasn't a break. And that's why I waited, and I was like, let me see what is it gonna test. And it kind of tested the first zone again, and it bounced, and that's when I entered, because this time the entry was even better, because I'm getting closer to this line, and that's kind of even better because you know it's gonna break. And guess what, when it hit the line, automatically it just flew up. Like, look at that. Just this time, yeah, I guess this time they didn't have as much, but look at the volume in here compared to here. So this was all a trap, nothing more, just to get just more shorts in to pile in, so they can push them out, and that's exactly what they did. So they just squeezed them out, and you can tell if you're watching level 2, this area was being very, very painful because they just kept it here stranded for a while, and I'm watching them. They had this whole area stranded. Every time it drops, they hold it, they hold it. It drops, they hold it, and it was like a lot of algos going on in this whole section here. So that's why I was waiting for it, and when it happens, it just happens like that. Yeah, Lunatic. Actually, these one and the one in AVTX, these were all OCOs. So because I was like so tired, and I was worried that I'm gonna pass out or take a nap on the couch, so I did OCOs for everything. So I had my stop losses in place and I had my targets. So that's why my full orders were filled up at 31. I didn't have a chance to fill at 34 because I had them on OCO. How do you think of stop placement for various types of orders? Are you using trading stops? I don't use trading stops. On where do you use trading stops? Have you done quantitative analysis for stop trading, or do you know me? Just do like geometric relations to patterns. Normally, I used to do trading stops. I don't do trading stops no more. I normally have just stops, and my stops are normally, I would say, 80% in my head, and I just execute at market unless I'm not watching the stock. And normally my stop losses are known ahead of time. I don't get in a stock without knowing my stop loss. So I do not play a trade without knowing my stop losses. So over here for my entry, I know that my stop loss will be below this area automatically when I was entering here. Doesn't matter if it goes a little bit up, down. I know for in the end my stop loss is here. And this one, I think when I put my OCO, I think I left to do my stuff and take a break. I think I went around here, and my entry was 17. I remember 17 something, 1744. It was my average, and I think the stock was trading around this area here. So I wanted to be on the safe zone, so I put my stop loss here at 19. I think was here. Yeah, so I put my stop loss above this line, which was the main line for me. So I put it around $19 for my OC. All my OCOs were at $19. So anything below 19 or hitting 19, I was gonna be out. And the stock was trading here, but my entry is down there. So I was still gonna be in the profit, but I was just giving it time to breathe. So I put it here around 19 just to get the move higher. And it kind of like dropped here. I didn't see this little drop here. Like, what was that, 20 something? Yeah, I didn't see that drop. I wasn't even looking. But normally I know my stop losses ahead of time. I don't plan them after I'm in a trade, so I exactly know when I'm gonna stop and where I'm gonna stop. So that's why I don't use trading stops no more. But trading stops is good. It's good to have trading stops. You can have them as points. You can have a percentage. You know, you can have trading for a number. It's totally up to you. But trading is good. You can have trading stops. It's just because of these ones, they have these big sometimes moves, so they kind of trigger the trading stops, and I can just be waiting for them. That's my only thing. Are the market makers the EX on level 2? Yes, these are the market makers. Right? Oh, thank you, my Eagle Flies. I think I just answered the question about these lines. I'm probably gonna do a whole session of this because I guess everybody keeps asking for it. So, are you ever fading these reversal complexes, or do you mostly trade reversal? I trade anything, man. I don't have a specific pattern I'm looking for. I trade stocks based on momentum and what they're doing. I take them to the long side or to the short side. I mostly take them to the short side, but if I see good longs, I'll play the longs. But I'm more of a short bias than a long bias lately. I mean, the last couple of years I've been more of a short bias. I just see that shorting is it's I like shorting more. It's more challenging, so I like it. But if I see a long, I'm not gonna say no just because I want to be short. So I'll still pay the long. So I'm playing any pattern I see. If it's a verso pattern or breakout pattern or whatever, any pattern that I see, a flag pattern, wedge breakup or breakdown pattern, higher highs, high lows, whatever, any pattern that I see on the chart, I'll play. I don't have one specific thing I'm looking for. I'm looking mostly for volume. That's my whole thing. If there is no volume, I cannot do my analysis right. So I need volume to analyze the stuff. That's all. That's the way I see it. So if there is not enough volume in the stock, it will be hard for me to kind of analyze the trade and see the stuff that I see. Because if there is not enough volume, you'll never see the stuff with the market makers and stuff like that. It's very hard. So I prefer to see volume and also not to be stuck with algos. So that's why I prefer volume stocks and momentum stocks. It doesn't matter if it's going to the upside or downside. At least there is momentum and it's pushing it. Then I can see something out of it. That's my whole thing. Are you taking partial profits? Yes, I always take partials. I'm always scaling out at multiple points, not just one point. Normally I like to take the first shot is almost around 50. Normally around 40 to 50% of my position, I would say this is the norm for me. So on my first R1, it's normally at least 40 to 50% of my full position. And then the rest of the 50s I take out based on my targets. So this one I scaled out like 4 times. Other one I scaled out like this one I think I scaled out like 3 or 4 times also. So I always take profits right away. Not right away, but I mean, when I hit my initial target, I will take at least 40 or 50% because now I'm very comfortable holding it. I don't mind playing the ups and downs after that. There's nothing for me. Like now that I think I took the 50 here, breaking this at 24 something here from 17. So I was up like $7. And then the reason I waited for all this and I wasn't really mad about it is just because I already took the 50 out here. So the other 50 I took through here, here, and here. So, but if I didn't take the 50 here, I could have probably went out in here. Because, if you don't take your 50 out or you don't take some out, at least a chunk out in your first target, then if you have these pullbacks, you can't hold through them because now you're freaking out because you're down a lot. I mean, this was a big down here. That was a pullback from almost 29 to almost 19. That's a $10 pullback. So if you didn't sell any here, you would have sold here, and then you're gonna cry because you're gonna see the stock like rallies to 34, and you'll be like, oh my god, I just lost like almost 10, $15. Just because I was impatient or I didn't follow my plan. But the reason you didn't follow your plan is that you got emotional because the stock just simply all it did was just a simple pullback. So that's why I always say you guys need to take some out, always. And I take out after that, and I just keep taking out. And what I like to do after that is just take 50% out of the 50%. So I take like here 50% of my actual position, then I take here like another 50 of my whatever is left of my position, and then another 50, another 50. That's how I play it, and that's how I take it, really. I have problems entering a buy on a position never fills. Do you know why? Oh no, that's I wouldn't know why. That's a hard thing. Either you're waiting too much to enter a specific price, but you have to understand, guys. I do not enter at a specific number. I hit market, and I don't care about the fill. So if I get filled 2, 3 cents, 5 cents above my entry, that's fine. I do not put limit orders in my buys. I only put limit orders for my sells because these are predetermined ahead of time. So when they hit, they hit. But for my entries, I just hit, buy the ask. So over here, I just buy the ask, whatever that is. I just, press the hotkey, I'm in, and that's it. I don't look what the limit is, and because I can get a bad fill for the spread and everything, but at least I know I'm in. But that's why technicals are good for me, because I know in this area I'm gonna get in, so it doesn't matter if I'm up 5 cents, more than I was supposed to. It's still in the same area what I was supposed to enter. So that's how I get filled, because sometimes you put the limit order and they are so fast. Like even in some of the cells, like I think this cell here, it hit exactly my target. One of those, I think maybe this one. No, this was after hours, but this happened to me twice with IBLO. I had my order and it did hit it in front of me, and I didn't get filled. Just because they do these fills like super quick, like you do something like this, so you don't get filled. So let's say I had my order at 375, and this hit like exactly 375. You don't get filled because it's so fast, and there was only a couple of orders that got filled, and you're not gonna be one of them. So this happens sometimes in buying too. So sometimes you have this quick bounces on the line, and it's just so fast that like something like this, that probably it was too fast on the tick chart, and it only just some people that get filled. Not everybody will get filled on it. So that's what happens sometimes when you have limit orders. It's normal. Yeah, again, Michael. Yeah, for me, as you see, like my main screen, I'm only watching, and I keep emphasizing this to everybody. When you keep jumping a lot in stocks, because I have a chart, like I have another screen that has like maybe 10 charts in it, but this is mainly my back burner. I'm just looking at stocks that I'm either watching, or one of the ones I like to play, like Mara, or AMD, or stuff like that. Reddit is one of them now. These are just on the back burner, but my main focus is always on 3 to 4 that I have my main focus on, because I need to be able to understand what's going on. I'm not just jumping in them on the fly, because the problem is sometimes when you hear these on the scanner, and then you see a stock puck like does like a big move like this here. The thing is that if you were in the stock earlier, like that's hard to like say here. But let's say on these stocks here, you're not in this stock earlier, okay? So let's say you waited here, but the thing is that you were trying to enter now in here, or you seen it here, and the stock just went up and it just pulled down. So now you're entering here, and it just went for a little dip, but that little dip is almost $1.50. It's not like, so let's say you were playing the quick in and out scalp. You wanted 1,000 shares, so you're down $1,500 so quick. So if you don't have the nerves, most people will just be out instantly, because on the chart now it looks nice. You'll be like, oh no, it's just a wick. But when it's in real money and it's happening live, that drop, it's like $1,500 to $2,000 in losses. Like you're instantly in the red, just entering here. But the thing is that if you're watching this whole thing, you could have entered here or entered here, and you're comfortable holding because you know what the stock is gonna do. So you're not too emotional. Like the thing is that I like to play them this way, because it kind of cuts down my emotions. When I play these, it gets me too emotional, because I'm up and down so quick. And let's say I seen the scanner like popping up now, and that's all I seen here. Oh, the stock is going here, and then I enter in this one, and the stock went from here to here. So I'm down instantly. And probably if I was hitting market, I'd probably get the highest fill. So I got at 1860, and I'm down to 17. I'm down $1 like right now. So I entered right here. I didn't see that candle, and I see this on the scanner. So let's say this whole left section wasn't here, and we're starting from here. This popped on the scanner, and we're like, okay, here we go. Okay, we did the pullback. It held the pullback. Okay, I'm gonna enter, and bam. So this was the candle for the entry right there. So I waited for this one, and then I entered here. So let's say I entered here, and this candle happened after that. Bam, I'm out. So that's also a problem with sometimes playing the scanners one right away, because this is what happens. And sometimes this happens and just it dumps, or this will happen and then it dumps, and we see this a lot, especially now, guys. It's summertime. You're gonna be in a lot of pump and dumps, so just be careful. That's why I prefer to watch these stocks. I know some stocks, they don't show up till 9:30. We can't control that, so I'll have to watch it at this point. But I prefer to see the stocks that are running already pre-market, and they've been running for a while, and then I can get a better entry on them. on a safer zone, kind of. That's how I like to play. Are the algos, when you see all these candles on the chart, are the same support and resistance like the chart SU and let's see SU and yeah, this is it, man. I mean, I don't even have to zoom in, but this is all algos right there. That's it. You don't have nowhere to go. Look at this. Especially when you zoom it in, like look at this. There's no humans that trade like that. I mean, nothing. We can't trade like that. They can. They're making money because they're making these pennies. So, but I mean, how can you trade this? It's just stuck in this zone. And normally the level 2 will be loaded and you'll be like walls all the way here, walls all the way here. It's not gonna go anywhere. And then whenever that wall breaks to the upside, downside, you get these movements, and that's about it. That's why I don't like playing these ones. Well, I stay away from these heavy algo ones because it is so hard to play them. It's almost kind of impossible to play them. So very hard to predict. I mean, nobody can ever predict these algos. Like even here, I mean, I can predict as close as I can to them based on the action they've been doing. But with these ones, it's impossible. You cannot predict if they're gonna take it to the upside or the downside. There's nothing. There is no numbers indicating anything. These walls never end. It's just a non-endless levels of walls, wall after wall after wall. It just never ends. So you never know if the next one gonna be to the top side or the downside. You never know. How are you screening for these volume momentum plays? Are you filtering or looking for VWAP, etc. stuff? I use my scanners, man. I have a lot of scanners set up, and my scanners filter out all the nonsense for me, and I only see the ones that I normally need to play. That's it. That's how I see them. So again, these scanners should be based on your plays, on what you like to play. You know, for me, VWAP, I don't care about VWAP. I don't even have VWAP on my charts. So I used to have scanners that run for VWAPs, but I don't anymore because for me, I don't really need VWAPs. I don't play them this way, so it's not like they're bad or anything. But what was it? Maybe what? So you should have your scanners based on what you like to play, not based on what we like to play. That's the beauty of having scanners, because you can scan for stuff that works out for you, like kind of different entries and different patterns. So if you find a pattern that works out for you, like some people like to have scanners for RSIs. They just run if the RSI is overbought, they have a scanner for that and shows them like overbought, oversold. And the scanner is just telling them that, and they just play that. You know, some people playing VWAP, some playing golden crosses. So there is a thousand different ideas to have in scanners, you know, that you can play based on your needs. So what I have for my need is different than what you have. So you need to find your sweet spot of what scanners you're looking for. Good morning, Hennessy. Thank you for your class. I want to ask you if it's a good idea to have an LLC for us day traders. It has its benefits and not, so you're gonna have to look into that based on you. I don't have one. I just pay my taxes. That's it. I try to kind of work it out at the end of the year. I liquidate my losing positions, and it kind of takes out some of my gains. That's all I can do. But the only thing is that the only thing I would say good for LLC is that if you want to separate yourself from, like, let's say you're an entity and you're trying to separate yourself from it, so you can run like market elect on your LLC. So your long-term gains, like somebody like me investing. But for me, I run the market elect anyway because I don't do like swings long-term. My long-terms are probably for very, very long-term. So I don't mind running the market elect, but the problem is that if you're running the market elect, the SEC, what's going to happen is that if you're playing long-term, you're not going to have the benefits of the long-term because you're running the market elect SEC. So I would say this is a beneficiary thing if you want to run an LLC. So the LLC would basically be under the market elect, and you would be as yourself, so you can get your long-term benefit gain. That's one of the things I would think you could do it for. But again, that's it's a lot of complicated stuff more than that. So it's case by case basis. Some people would be a better fit for them to have LLC, some will not. So it's hard to just give you an answer if it's good or bad. I'm not an options trader, man. I trade options mostly for kind of a little bit longer term. I don't play the ODTs and stuff like that. That's not my thing. I only play these kind of things if I'm playing in earnings. Mostly these are earnings of stocks I'm watching or I actually own. So these are the only times I'll play them like that. And normally I'll play them for the day. For the day or for the end of the week, they have the earnings, or maybe the end of the month. That's the thing I'll play. And what's the longest you hold it a swing trade? I mean, define a swing trade, man. Because swing trades, I have swing trades I'm holding for years. Like, these are long trades. And I have swing trades I can hold for months, 6 months to a year. Like, for example, I'm holding Target, and I was planning to hold it for 6 months, and I extended it now to almost a year. But it was a swing. I was like, in the beginning when I got into it, I was looking for a 3 months to 6 months, and after seeing some reports and what they did in the couple of last earnings, I extended now to hold it for another 6 months. But it just depends, you know. So I have some other swings that I'm holding in like small bios, and these I'm holding for a couple of months too. So it just depends, man. Depends on the stock, and it depends on my plan. Again, you have to get in a stock based on a plan. I don't get in on stocks and then, like, I don't play a stock and I get stuck in it and now I say it's a swing. That's not a swing, in my opinion. That's bag holding. So you have to kind of have this comparison. There is no comparison between these two, because I see a lot of people that get into a day trade and then ended up, oh, okay, so you know what, I'm ready into the company now and I think it's good, so I'm gonna swing it. And that's not a swing. You're actually bag holding. So you need to separate yourself from this and that. A swing is actually a trade you look into and you like, and then you get in with the idea of having a swing trade and knowing exactly what is your targets, what are you looking for too. So, you know, if you see something fishy after a while, or something you don't like in the data, or you were waiting for something and it didn't happen, then you have to get out, because you're getting in that swing based on something. It can be even a technical thing. So if you see that technical broke, then get out. But you should have an idea exactly, like a trade idea of why you're getting in a stock. You don't just jump in a stock and say, I'm gonna swing it. Do you ever stick short? Do you use stick short? Nah. I use them sometimes, but my entries are mostly based on 1 minute, 5 minute, and 15 minute, because they are more clear for me. So these ones, when I'm trading, I have another screen too that I have all these stocks at 5 and 15 minutes. So I'm watching every one of these stocks at different time frames. So that's why if you see here the 5 minutes, or here, that's why when I do my entries, I'm also looking at the 5 minutes. I can tell the stock is actually holding on the 5 minutes. You can't see it on the 1 minute, but you can see it on the 5, and then you can see it on the 15. So the 15 minute here, you can tell. That's why I got an entry here and I held, because the 15 was holding. Same thing here. If you look at the 15, it's actually holding. Very nice trend, you know. And that's when the trend of the 15 broke, and once that broke, it's done. So I prefer longer time frames because they fit the way I play. But you can play wicks. If you're trying to do the quick scallops, then wicks are good. But for the way I play these, I look for the 1, 5, and 15. The intraday stuff you're doing, it sounds like you're watching 2-4 stocks at a time, and those stocks are predicted on your scanner. Yeah, kinda. But these I already seen them, like, again, pre-market. But if I see something like pick. I seen kind of pre-market, but I didn't enter because I looked into it and it was a pump by a room. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna short this. So I already had my short bias in head, but I knew it might do something like this stupid move here, one more. So that's why I didn't enter, because I didn't want to get squeezed out. And good thing I didn't, because I figured this is gonna happen before market open, and maybe another one when the market opened. But this actually did dump when the market opened right away. I figured we're gonna get a bounce in here, but we didn't, and it kind of, that's it, and it kind of lost faith after that. But mostly, yeah, mostly the scanners are telling you stuff, but sometimes again, stuff show up on the scanner that we haven't traded all day. So a new stock that just got news or something happened, and I might jump on it. It's fine. That's not gonna stop me from jumping on it. I'm gonna read the news, see what the news is, see the chart, see the action, but it might take me a minute or two. I don't jump in a stock after 2 or 3 candles, especially if it just showed up on the scanners. I kind of do some digging first. I want to see, is it a pump? Is it a dump? Is it being pumped by different rooms? Or, I go read in the filings. Do they have an offering? Anything like that. I go quick, look at the daily chart, look at the last time it ran, how much it ran. Was it a quick run? Did it hold the run? It didn't hold the run? And in these 4 minutes for me, I try to understand what I'm going to do with this stock. So that's why sometimes you see me, guys, I will call the stock and I won't say anything about it. I'll just be quiet because I'm doing some, digging into it. And I think it's a good idea, guys, if you start like putting in your head that maybe you should start reading the news when it comes out. So let's say you hear my scanner going crazy for a stock. Instead of you just jumping in, if it takes you a minute or two to read the news, it kind of calms you down so you take a better decision instead of you just jumping on it. Because what happens sometimes that you see the stock flying and you just jump on it. Yeah, sometimes it pays off, but I would say most of the time it does not pay off because it just goes up, and then suddenly it goes down. So these first couple of minutes, if you were calm about it, it might save you some money. And get you a better entry, and not being, not holding a bag either. Because sometimes these spike and you don't get out quick, and now you're holding a bag and the stock just keeps dumping and you're kind of done. Right now you're short bias and looking for these support, resistant plays off piece action. What type of scanning do you do on super basic theoretical? Oh man, my scanners are not basic at all. I'm running like 50 scanners, man. So I don't have anything. I mean, I don't know if you ever seen, but I run the scanners live for everybody to see. So there's a lot of time and effort and backtesting I put into these. So I know exactly when they call a stock for me, it kind of matches a lot of the things I'm looking for, and that's how I play them. Yeah, so if you, I every morning, man, from 3 a.m. I run my scanners, so you can come and see them. I'm not sure if, but I think you have to be a premium member to see them. I'm not sure if you are. Then you're gonna see me in the rooms at 3 a.m. all the way till when Ricky shows up. I think Ricky shows up at 7 Eastern time. So I mean, so it's gonna be 3 a.m. for me, and then Ricky shows up at 6 a.m. and Ricky stays anywhere till 10, 11, and then I take over after him till 4 sometimes. And normally I would run my scanners before him and after him, but Ricky also runs his own scanner. 3 a.m. Yes, Central, so it's 4 a.m. Eastern. So I start when the market starts. So the market starts at 4 a.m. I'm normally sitting and I'm looking at stuff at 4 a.m. So I have a Wattman's not background, but I only been trading for 2 months, so been very limited explanation. Oh, I appreciate it, man. But yeah, man, I mean, math is good. It's gonna put some logic into it. So if you're good with numbers, man, that's what I am. I mean, I'm math, so I got into trading because I love numbers and I love the logic behind it, and that's why I try to understand the stories behind every trade and make sense of the numbers. That's how I like to kind of trade. I'm just trying to see what kind of makes sense. Why is it doing what it's doing? If that makes any, like, why is everything happening? And I think everything has a reason for it happening. And if you start predicting why it's happening, you're gonna start making more money than normally you do. Okay, so a big question that I can give a lot of answers for a lot of people. So I know a lot of you have been asking me something I didn't want to do, and I'm not gonna do it this way. I'm still debating how I'm gonna do it, but I know a lot of you have been asking me that, do you want me to do it like a mentoring one-on-one? And I was very hesitant of doing it because I didn't want to get back to doing this stuff. But I have decided that I'm gonna do something like this, but I'm not gonna do a class. It's not gonna be a class. So I'm thinking what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send like for all the people that send me already, and I've been already saying no, or I'm gonna think about it. So I'm gonna send like a questionnaire, and I think I'm gonna just do like an hour, maybe two, and that's about it, to see what you guys like, what somebody needs like to work on. And I'm just gonna give you that hour or two to work on something, but I'm not gonna have recorded class. I want to do this like very customizable for everybody, so it's not gonna be like a recording or a class or anything like that. So I'm gonna do like a one-on-one. Like, let's say you need something specific, or you want to understand something very specific, I will stay with you that 1 hour, and if you need more, I'll give you maybe another hour or 2 more hours. We're just gonna go based on that. But that's something I'm gonna start doing because I know a lot of you have been asking me, and I've been saying no, 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 no. But I decided to do it this way instead of doing a whole class, because I think, in my opinion, in classes, because I used to do classes too, but I think classes don't fit everybody. So I can do a class, but everybody needs something different. So I think the perfect approach would be for me to maybe just see what somebody needs and just work on that weak point that he has, or whatever he needs, and that's gonna be the whole class around this. And I'll just do it one-on-one, private, just me and him, and that's it. But that's something I'm gonna start doing. I'm still debating, but looks like I might start doing it. But that's the idea. If I'm gonna do it, that's the way I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna go with mentoring a whole thing, or doing 50 hours of classes. I'm not gonna do that. I think it's a waste of time. I don't think it's worth it for me or for you, because I'm gonna have to charge you a lot to waste all these hours. But if I can do it very efficiently for that 1 hour, that's gonna be beneficial for everybody, and it just help a lot of people, and also it doesn't take a lot of my time, so it can be very affordable for everybody. So that's my idea. I'm still gonna work it out in my head, but just to answer a lot of you that have been sending me DMs about that. So yes, I'm gonna get into it, but just give me some time. I'm working on doing a right questionnaire for everybody, so I can send you the questionnaire and you can answer it, and I can have an idea of what you guys need, so I can build even something in my head of how I'm gonna present it to you, what I'm gonna do, and give you the best efficient way of doing it. But all this is still in play. For now, I just took the okay to do it in my head, because in the beginning I said no many times, I know. But because, again, guys, I didn't want to do it like this, because I already stopped doing this stuff. But I see a lot of you asking non-stop about this in my DMs. So that's why I've decided to do it this way. But I also want to do it fair for everybody. And I understand a lot of you are still beginners, so I don't want to, do something crazy. That's the reason I don't want to do it in the first place. So I'm thinking this is maybe the approach that I can get to, and kind of help everybody, whoever wants it. I'm still going to do my lives. I'm still doing everything. But I know some people are kind of don't like asking questions, or they want to do something very private, or they want to speak about something very private in their accounts. And I'm going to be willing to do that. So just letting you know, this is something I just thought of, so I wanted to just add today so everybody knows, and maybe answer everybody that's been sending me the DMs. So when it's ready and I have the questionnaire and everything, I'll send it to you. And if you're interested, just send me a DM so I know to add you on the list. And when I do the questionnaire, I'll send it to you. But alright, let's see what else you guys got for me. Any more questions? Let's see, did I miss anything? How do I identify chat room pumps? I mean, I see some Twitters, first of all, that I watch. But again, volume is my friend. So PIK, for example. The reason I know it's a pump is that if you see here, we had nothing. We had crickets. The stock basically had no volume whatsoever. Okay, we haven't traded nothing here for PIK. So PIK, before this dump, before this here, okay, had nothing. The day before, all it traded was 229,000. Okay, and the day before was 52.82. So it's trading in this range. I would say in the 100. Right? But this here, you had this little move here, okay, which was fine. I didn't say nothing about it. But then this happened in the morning at 4. And I saw this, and then I started seeing these candles. This candle, this candle, this candle, this candle, and then this candle, and this one, and then this one. And there was no volume, really. There's nothing yet. Stock hasn't really moved much, okay? But I'm starting to see this volume coming in. And this now is a big volume. This is around 30,000 to 40,000 shares traded in here, okay? So that's how I know this is getting now front loaded, because there was no news for it to get this. If the whole stock gets 100,000 a day and you get 40,000 in 10 minutes with no news, then something is not right. And then out of nowhere you start getting these. So you get these calm downs right there, okay, and then bam, you start getting these crazy moves back to back. So now it's being pumped. Now it's on the scanners. And now that's it. At 5 a.m., same thing. Now more volume coming in. And now that's the pump side. So you're basically putting fuel to the fire here. And then once the fire it catches the fire, you start having this. And that's when poor people get stuck in after that. Especially it didn't have any news. Didn't have nothing. Like zero. But if you see here, look at this volume. Look at the volume when everybody jumped in. So this volume dwarfs this volume here. And then again, the dump volume was even more intense. And these are the pool people that have been entering since here. They just got dumped. So it's kind of dead. And again, I watched some Twitters that I know are big pumpers. And when I see them, I normally know these are the stocks I'm going to short. So I'm not going to say names, but these are for my private collection. Do you trade 4 p.m. Eastern time? I use TradeZero, and yes, I do trade at 4 in the morning. What indicators are used for your support and resistance? I don't use any indicators, man. I use my support and resistance and this, and I have some MAs running, and that's it. I have like a couple of MAs in here. So I have the 13, 50, 100, and 200. That's it. And everything else, as you see, is only mostly me. Most of the time. I do use some indicators here, like I use Ricky's, I use RJ's indicator here, down there, with his arrows and everything too. So that's the blessing indicator. It is a good one, but this is on a different screen that I'm watching. But for me, I normally take my first initial like ideas based on these and not based on indicators. Indicators are just confirmation on top of my confirmation. I never take my confirmations from indicators. I take my confirmations from my technicals itself, and then the indicator would be an extra confirmation for me. How do you get your questionnaire? Just send me a DM, man, that you're interested in this, and I'm just gonna add you. I'm gonna build a list of everybody that's been asking me, and once I have the questionnaire ready, I'll send it to all of you guys. What trade platform are you using? This is Thinkorswim, man. TD Thinkorswim. Asking about backtesting for your scanners. Where are you getting this metadata to use? Yeah, do you guys have to take data? No, man. Actually, Trade Ideas themselves, they used to have backtests. I used to pay for the extra fee, and I used to run backtesting on all my scanners. And I used to go backtesting too. Like I would get the data and run backtesting on it myself, which took me hours. I mean, by hours I mean like months and years of my time backtesting most of my scanner, because I used to run the history on it. Like there's on my scanners there's an option where you can get the history of, let's say, specific days. So I would go back and actually look at the stocks manually. So That's why when somebody asked me to give him my trade ideas, I said no, and I would never do it because I've put countless years of my life in these scanners. So it's not something you're gonna do in one day, or at least for me. I mean, the amount of back testing I put in these is just enormous, enormous in every way because they're back tested with AI, back tested with trade ideas, and back tested on my own, like going on a chart by chart basis, looking at every scan, looking at everything. So it's not that easy. What is the volume indicator name that you have on your chart? Volume indicator. Where do you see a volume indicator? I'm not sure. What are you talking about? Can you be more specific? I'm not sure. Maybe you were talking about this one, the blessings. This is a blessing scan. I'm not sure if you're talking about this one or which one. Do you know if any TS scanners that are not on your screen, are they still using CPU and running in the background? Yes, they are. If they are running, if you have them actually as running as codes or sitting in the scan and they're just pulling data out, yes, they are running. But if they have them like not running anything, they're not pulling any CPU or anything else. Very cool. Thank you. On the West Coast, so I've been live at Discord at 3 a.m. So yeah, man. Again, I stay from 3 in the morning till 6 a.m. CST, and then I stay after pre-market. So whenever Ricky leaves, 10, 11, 12, whenever he leaves, I take over till probably till we close. So you're gonna see my scanners most at some point in the day too. The one is at the bottom with the green and red. So this here, this is the volume dominator. You will find this at Ricky's. Mine is different than him. I had this before I met Ricky, which is almost the same exact thing. So it's the volume dominator. I think that's what Ricky calls his, and it's I would say it's 99% of this. This one I had for a very, very long time before I came to the chat room. What futures and we trade? Again, if I trade futures, NQ, ES, MES. That's about it. But lately I've just been trading more Forex, to be honest. Especially with the markets flying the way they are flying. So I know there is money to be made on them, but it's way unpredictable now. Markets are like flying up high. And I just noticed a pattern too. I mean, on the SPY, it's just the last week. It just seems every day before close, the SPY would make these crazy moves. Mostly to the upside. I think they did like 3 days in a row. Or before close, you had this bam. Then here, before the close, they have this dump. And then one time they have the dump. So it's just now unpredictable. And then the last couple of days, they had this move here. It dumped and then it moved after hours. Then vice versa, it moved before close and still moved after hours. But the market is so unpredictable. Like, I cannot even predict the markets like you used to. I think the market needs to pull back a little bit. Like, a lot. Market needs a nice pullback. Because I think we're way overextended. And if anything happens at this point, any bad news, we're just going to take a big dump. That's one of the reasons I'm not trading futures right now. Again, man, when I'm trading futures, whatever you see on my charts is whatever I use for everything. Even for Forex, I mostly use the same thing. The only difference is that I add COCs and BOCs on my Forex, and which is kind of what I do here, but I don't put them the same way. But I'm mostly trading the same every way. I don't change the way I trade just because I'm changing the instrument. And then they're all the same thing, man. Because ES futures is basically a stock. It's nothing more than a stock, but just ES futures. So, I mean, you're trading the SPY, but it's futures. Same thing. Doesn't matter. So, I think if you stick to a specific technical that you like, you should stick to it all the way. Because in the end, they're all instruments based on volume. See, that won't change. So, you're trading something and the under asset for it is volume. So as long as you have volume, they all are the same. Sounds good to me, Michael. I'll see you this week for sure. So yeah, Danny. So I'm saying the same. So yeah. So I think it's a good idea to stick to something that you've been testing, or whatever that is. Okay, and just work through it. I mean, as I can see Bob always trading with the same technicals, which for his options, and that's the way it should be. Always is that you figure out what works for you, and just keep it working. You know, because the more you keep trading with it, the more you're gonna find some things you adjust here or adjust there, and you're just trying to make it better. But if you keep jumping from this to this to this to this, you're never gonna find where's the issue. Is the issue you, or the issue is the indicators, the technicals? You'll never find what the issue that you have, like why you're not profitable. Like, so that's why you need to stick to something and just try to, you know, fine tune it a little bit. Just keep find something that you're profitable, and then you keep fine tuning that. And then once you find that, you can always change a little bit. I don't do big changes. I mean, whoever has been trading with me since I started with you guys for months now, as you see, my chart hasn't changed. I don't change nothing. I keep everything the same because that's the way I trade, and that's what works for me. I'll do some adjustments here and there, or add little things here and there, but 99% of the time I'm trading the same way. It doesn't change anymore. Now I said BOC and COCH. That's change of character and break of structure. BOS, break of structure, and then COCH, change of character. Nature, I'm not sure yet. Honestly, that's something I'm still working on. Again, because I don't know how it's gonna be, but it should be. I'm trying to do it very affordable for everybody. So I don't know exact number yet. I'm still working on that, but I'll try to make it as affordable as possible so everybody can get into the. Where do you find float? Well, the float is a point. It's one of the things I found in my scanners. So my scanner do tell me the floats of every stock I'm trading, which is a good thing. But you can find floats everywhere. You can find them in Finviz or whatever. Like any website, man. There's a lot of website you can find float, and is float important? Yes, float is very very important. The reason you get these big moves on these big stocks, like why you think EVTX went from $4 to $34? So you think that stock would have moved this move here from 4 to 34? You know, from 4 to 34, you know how big of a move is that? Just if it had like 200 million shares. It only did that because it only has 750,000 shares. 750,000. Just think of that number. Like, see how much we traded on the past 2 days? So this day traded 3 million, and this day traded 31 million. So that float did almost like 33 rotates just in one day. So the float rotated 33 times in one day. That's how small that float is. And that's why you get this move. Same thing, why you think the stock jumped from 4 till I think 20 something the first day for pre-market was what, 24 from 4 to 24. Okay, then like stocks don't make these moves unless they are very very low floats. You never find a big float that does that because there's a lot of shares, but over here you can't because there's no shares. So scarcity of the stock makes it fly the way it is. So yes, float is very very important. Yeah, that stability makes sense. I've had such hyper abundance of information since learning about trading. Yeah, I know. I've been in your place. You know, I used to try a new indicator every 2 days. Change my chart every couple of days. Like I'll take a loss. I'll be like, okay, I found the next indicator, or I found the next golden indicator that's gonna make me millions. And these do not exist. They will never happen. It's all about your emotions and your trade plan more than any indicator. So the thing is that people keep changing their indicators, thinking that, this is the one I'm gonna make money with, or that's the one I was trading wrong because I had the different one. Because maybe you look at one indicator and that indicator is gonna show you that this was a good entry and this was the right exit. But if you take it, put it on a different stock, it's gonna show you something else. So it's hard to find these indicators. That's why indicators for me are always secondary. Some of them are pretty good, but the ones that don't do entries and exits, I prefer them more. So the one like RJ I like because it's not really giving an entry and exit, it's just giving you more of the trend of the stock. So it's kind of good because it can keep you on the trend. If you're too emotional, it will keep you on this trend the whole way. So that's why I like this one. So, but the indicators like the AI indicators, the new ones that they make with the buy here, sell here, and it tells you all this stuff, yeah, doesn't work. 99% of them, I seen them, they don't work. I tried them on TradingView, they don't work. It's just nonsense. They just pick the stocks that they worked for, and they show you these examples. Because I can get any indicator and get the right examples and tell you this indicator will make you millions, because look at this chart, it predicted every buy and every sell just because I was showing it on a specific 2 charts or 3. But they can put them in every other stock, it is not going to give you the same exact entries and exits, because it's just all a shame. So the lower the float, the better. I mean, did I jump somebody? Yeah, I jumped a lot of people. Okay, so just to answer you, the lower the float, the better. I don't know what you mean by the better. I mean, the lower the float, the more volatile the stock is. So it's not better or worse. It's just going to be very volatile for shorts or longs. But a lot of stocks have short float and they dump. So don't expect that because it's a short float that it needs to run. Some of them, they will make a very tiny run, small run, and they just dump. So just having this in mind. Okay, let's go back to what time frame do you use to make those lines. I use the daily, 4 hours, 1 hour. The white lines, no, these are 1 minute and 5 minutes. Mostly 1 minute, and some of them are 5 minutes. Composite, I think that's the same question I just answered her. Yeah, so smaller float would mean volatile stock. Bigger moves to both sides. Or sometimes, I mean, I wouldn't say no moves, but I would say like 80% of the low floats, they just dump. Because the traders will all jump on them like really early, really quick, and they get these very quick spikes, and then they dump. They don't have continuation. There is no more volume. The market does not support the move, and it just goes. So it's more than just float. It's also short interest. What's the short interest on the stock? Some stocks are very, very highly shorted. So when it's a very high float, like a very low float, very shorted stock, then that's a time bomb. So these are things that you have to consider too. One of the pieces of advice I've been consistently is to look at the short interest of a security as well as institutional ownership. How do you think? Yep, I do that. These are both on my scanners. You'll always see these. Look at them. So I see short interest in the stock and I see institutional ownership. But for the pump and dumps, institutional ownership does not really make that much sense. It's just another thing or another data point to have. But for most of these pump and dumps, they're all full of retail anyway, mostly. So they don't even look at this stuff. But short interest is important because it tells you if the stock is heavily short or not. Seems like you use the blessing indicator for entry. I only think the blessing indicator only works on the 1 minute. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I think the blessing indicator is made to work on the 1 minute chart more. Maybe it works on the 5 minutes, but I think it works best on the 1 minute. So it is made to check the trend on the 1 minute. So I think it's mainly made for that. Okay, thanks. What do you use those white lines for? Oh, for everything. For targets, for entries and exits, for support. zones that I should buy or should be aware of. Breaking of zones. So right here, that this zone broke. That's why the stock continued to move up. So it's a lot of things, man. It's like flags connected with flags, with pitchforks. It's a lot of things. I mean, you can do pitchforks for most of this stuff, you know, but I just prefer to do it manually. But I mean, these lines always intersect, and when they intersect, there's always something that's gonna happen at this point. So for sure, interest and institution. What a level for those two values you consider significant? I think short interest, anything above 20% is considered insane. So some stocks are at 40, 50, 60. They're very rare, but these are very, very highly shorted stocks. And institutional shit, that doesn't matter, man. Again, for the stuff we play, don't really bother with that. The only thing I look at these is I look at these on my long term plays. This makes a big difference in my swing plays. Institutionals are important thing in my retirement plays and my swing plays. I look at this institutional stuff. I backtested a few months with a blessing and found some pretty good results. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to keep watching. Keep trying different stocks, and just even run it live. I think the indicators are better too when you're running them live, so you see a reaction time based on the data you're getting live. Because sometimes you go back and it's a lot easier to look at because you zoom out and zoom in. But when you actually look at it, when you're in the markets and sitting live, not even trading, just watching the indicator, like open 3-4 charts, run the indicators on them and watch it. Try to understand the indicator so it gives you a better understanding how the indicator is working. So when should I enter? When should I exit? What is it trying to tell me? So that's going to give you a way better idea. When it's running live in front of you, it's way different. Do you create these support and resistance lines at the beginning of the day pre-market? No, I create them when I see the stock running. So it can be pre-market, it can be when the stock runs, but I don't trade with them. Like I would never trade, I wouldn't trade like this here without them. And that's how you know I haven't traded here in a while. So, because if you go here, that's one of the last time I started trading. I stopped trading futures since we've been here, since we crossed the 480. So, when you see my lines is what I used to trade, basically. So some stocks you would see that I have a lot of lines at specific points, and that's how you know I was trading them a lot in this area. So, and if we go AMD, I was trading AMD for a while. So I traded it heavily here, and I stopped trading it since it went up there. So, and I traded all this area here. I was trading here. This is more of a swing trades, but over here I was day trading it. All this area here, you can tell I was day trading it here. So it just depends. But normally I wouldn't trade anything without lines. So because I need to know. Maybe I'm entering at a resistance that's significant in the past 3 years. It couldn't crack. So why would I even consider entering here if I don't have this information? That I wouldn't do it. Same thing with what? Yeah, okay. I remember this stock here. So let's, for example, we had Miso here. So look at that here. Miso, I had this here. I even called it right there. See, gap fill. So that indicated that if that stock crosses this area here of the gap fill, it should fill up the gap. I think the fill up of the gap was here. So we got very close to it. So that's stuff that I need to know. So I know that this area here, when it breaks, I already know, and I even marked it on my chart, that there is a gap here and it should fill that gap. And guess what? When we just went for it, and it kind of filled the gap, I think. So it is important to know this stuff. You can't just trade without it. Yeah, it's gonna take time, Michael. Just stocks, it's all about time, and the more time you give into it, the more you learn. You're welcome, nature. Right. What else, guys? Give me some questions. Let's see. Are those purple line an indicator, or you mark these manually? I mark them manually. These are all manually. The only ones I have that auto are these ones, the red ones here, and this green one. Everything else on this chart is all manual. Everything. Squares, rectangles, whatever. Whatever you see there is manual. You're welcome, nature. Okay. Who else? Anybody else? Any more questions? Okay, let me see if we missed anybody on Discord. Nope, I don't see anybody here. Don't see anything here. Okay. I know some of you guys send me DMs. I can see them. I just didn't read them yet. So whoever sent me DM, I'll get back to you after I'm done with this. Okay, so at this point, I don't see questions anywhere. Even Discord, I went back to check. There's nothing on Discord. How do I learn how to mark those purple lines the way you mark them? Again, man, I mean, for you as a starter, again, it's all about just looking at the daily chart. Just go back to the daily chart and just try to figure out, like, see, like this, how I knew there was a gap fill here. Just this right there. Doesn't need rocket science to figure out. So that's your gap fill right here. And you have a gap fill all the way to here, or all the way to here, 586, which I think it kind of hit. No, we hit the 537. So we didn't hit it all the way. So yeah, this stock might still keep going, because at least you need to hit that 586 right here, and then after that you can go to 4 hours. So kind of hit 554, which I think that was the closest one to that, right? Yeah, we hit 539. So you do have a fill here at 554 too. So you had two fills, 554 and 558, and he kind of got very close to that 554. That's why I kind of stopped here. Maybe that's the end of it and we're just gonna dump. But yeah, I mean, as you can see the lines, think of it, you're just trying to put it, the more it touches a line, the stronger the line is, either support or resistance. That's all of that. Greatly appreciate your time and help. All of us, you are welcome. What advice would you give your past self 2 months into journey? In the next few months, cut your losses, man. Always cut your losses. That's my biggest advice for all the new traders. That's the biggest thing that everybody does as a new trader. You don't cut their losses quick. And I think I would say that's 90% of what everybody does as their beginning mistake. You do not cut their losses. You hold to the losses too quick, and you don't hold to the runners. So that's the biggest problem. They never hold their winners and hold their losers. And sometimes they hold their losers all the way. They won't even get out. They just end up being so-called investors, or basically bag holders, not investors. So learn to cut your losses quick. If the plan doesn't go your way, get out. That's it. Take the loss, call it a day, move on. Don't get too emotional with any stock. Don't fall in love with any stock. You know, either on the good side or the bad side. You know, I made money on AVTX. Doesn't mean I'm gonna love AVTX. I'm not gonna trade any stock beside it. That's it. I'm done with it. On to the next one. You know, it's like a new shoe. You just put the shoe on, put the next one on, and that's it. Don't think too much about it. Yes. So again, I think it's the biggest thing is people hold to the losers a lot, and not having a trade plan. I think that also contributes to it. So I always emphasize that you guys need to get into a trade plan. Don't just jump in a stock blindly and expect to get results. You know why you're entering, I think, I don't know who was asking me what stock were you asking. Was it, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, maybe it was this one, Mara. I think somebody asked me, like, for example, I think when we were trading, he wanted to enter in Mara. I think it was here, maybe. Yeah, right here. I think they wanted to enter here, and my first question was like, why are you entering here? Like, what is significance of you entering here? Do you see anything going on? You're so far away from support, and you did not hit resistance to even test it. Like, it's not like here, like, yeah, okay, I would risk it here. You know, maybe I will go, maybe I will not, and you just go for the resistance. It doesn't go, you get out. You take a very tiny loss and you're out. But over here, like, what is the reasoning? Like, why would I enter right here? There's no sense to it. Like, what is the sense? Like, why? Like, ask yourself this question: why am I entering here? There's nothing. They didn't break anything. You did not break 50 MA. You're on the, like, yeah, you're holding the 13, but you didn't even break the resistance where you could fail the first time. So for you to enter, I would enter here to break resistance. So I'm still out like 60, 70 cents from what I'm supposed to enter. So why would I enter here? And guess what? And the stock just dumped because, I mean, there was nothing. I mean, you didn't even test anything. So the probability that it's just gonna dump. Yeah, it could have went, but why we play the game of what if? When I have a confirmation or something that tells me yes, the stock is going my way, then I'll enter. But just entering here in the middle of nowhere, you know, no confirmation, no nothing. Why would you do it? So always ask yourself, why are you doing this trade, and have a trade plan. Like, why? Ask yourself, why am I entering here? Don't just enter just blindly. You just see a stock and you just enter. You need to know why you're entering here. Why did you pick the specific point? Was it based on technicals, based on volume, based on something? But just jumping in a stock based on nothing, kind of ain't gonna get you nowhere. So that's the big problem, and that's what I see a lot of people do. Just, you need to just be patient. Like, be patient with your entry, and if your entry doesn't come to you, then this trade is not for you. As simple as that. So if you see a trade and you're waiting for a specific entry and the entry never comes, then you never enter. That's as simple as that. So these will be my biggest advices. Visualizing, blah blah blah. That early advice I got, something I work on every day. Yes, sir. Talking about basic tone about it. Stock returns against your thesis. I've really been trying to enter these. Yeah, man, always follow the market. We are the ants, cockroaches of the market. So follow the markets. Markets are the money, and we just follow them. That's good, man. Have these statements in front of you. I used to put sticky notes of everything I hate doing in front of me on my screen. So I read them every day. I read them every hour. So it kind of stopped me from doing the stupid mistakes all the time. So it kind of helps have these sticky notes of important thing. Just put them in front of you all the time. Hang them on the wall. Have some rules hanged on the wall so you follow them. So well, I guess you answered your question why I don't use them. It's just because they kicked me out early for my style of play, especially with the volatile stocks. It is very hard to have trading stops. But also they protect your profit, so it's like, you know, it's like edge. It's like two edges, you know, one good, one bad. So just depends, you know. If you wanna hold them and play them on the long run, then trading stops are hard in very volatile stocks. And again, they protect your profits, so you have to pick what you want. Yeah, if you like them, stick to them. That's as simple as that. Because sometimes they save you. Sometimes the plan doesn't go as planned. Like sometimes, like, yeah, did we get lucky here? Yes, we did, and it went all the way. But this stock could have simply just went from here, just stopped me out. So I would have lost on $3-4 extra that I could have made here, just because I was looking for the higher one, and the higher one does not come all the time. So have that in mind too. So it kind of on the long run, I think trading stops are good. But again, for me, I don't use stops like that anymore. It's just for the way I trade. Nothing. Yes, of course, you have to have a stop. For you guys, at least as beginners, you can't trade without stops. For me, I'm less emotional a little bit now, so sometimes I take my stops off, but it's not the right thing, honestly. Always have your stops, especially if you're being like beginning. Stops are very, very important because sometimes he can't pull the trigger, they will pull it for you, kind of. Because I know people get emotional and that's why they don't get stepped out. So, because they're too emotional to step out. So, if you do it the right way, you shouldn't have any issues with it. Okay, guys, I guess we can call it. That's it for Saturday. We answered some good questions. That was a good session. You're more than welcome, Michael. Try to help as much as I can. Okay, guys, I'll see you on Monday. Let's go back to trading. Should be a good day because everybody's been hungry all weekend. Not trading on Friday. So it should be a good day. Alright, guys, feel free to subscribe to see the next videos when we post them. Give the video a like or dislike, whatever you like, guys. It's up to you. I do it for you. I don't really care about it too much. So thank you all for being here. And I'll see you Monday. And if you have questions, send them to me. And that's about it. See you later, guys.